We're having like a summer solstice full moon in the sign of Capricorn, just the day after the sun moves into the sign of Cancer. And this full moon amplifies and reflects the light of a star associated with great prosperity and wealth. That star is the Star Betelgeuse. As well, we have some involvement of the Asteroid Asbolus. That was a Centaur who could see the future and foretell a disastrous war that came from a wedding. We'll talk about how the idea of foretelling, foreseeing something may be a part of this particular lunation. It is only at 1 degree of Capricorn with the sun at 1 degree of Cancer, and that is right on that 0 degree world axis. That kind of gives the indication that the summer solstice beginning of that window of time from the summertime in the June 21st timeframe, add a few months, it's kind of under the energetic imprint of this full moon. Now, Capricorn is a part of all of our skies, and this is a full moon that is taking part after we had a new moon in the same part of the sky 6 months earlier. You're always going to want to bracket the new moon and the full moon and connect the dots, and we'll be talking about how to do that for your sign today. Now, when you're listening for this astrology today, listen for your sun sign if it's about career and purpose. Your moon sign can be about your home and your body. Moon sign can be about mama, and daddy can be your sun sign. However, the actual rising sign may indeed be most accurate. It's all about you at the steering wheel of your life, hypothetically, when you were born. It's the eastern horizon line at the time of birth in one of the 12 zodiacal signs of the Western tropical zodiac. And if you're welcome to my channel, hey, hi, welcome aboard. My name is Lori Lothe, and I'm using the Western Tropical Zodiac, whole sign houses, fixed stars, and minor asteroids. I put out about 20 to 30 videos every month. And if you like this kind of all signs content, please subscribe. I also usually cover just a little bit of what we call mundane or world astrology in the very beginning of our video today. I will just briefly cover the potential for world events because mundane means worldly astrology, world event astrology, because I'm recording this on May the 18th, because I'll be traveling on the El Camino in Europe. So I'm recording this early, well before I know what's going on in the actual world at the time. So anything I say today about world events will be a little bit out of date or not knowing the current trend lines. I also do weekly astrology every Monday for all signs for the week ahead. So yeah, definitely give me a try. Hit the like button and subscribe. My Patreon community will always get early access ad-free content. They're getting this today, early access and ad-free. And if that kind of thing interests you, check out my Patreon community below. Yes, I've been working on my markers today. Okay. I'm going to show you the sky. I'm going to read the Sabian symbol. We're going to talk about the Asteroid Asbolus and more. So first of all, there you can see the Asteroid Asbolus with the sun in the sky. It's 0 degrees Cancer. I didn't draw it in, but the Star Betelgeuse is around 0 degrees of Cancer as well. That is a star known for prosperity and wealth, drive, and warrior instincts. So before we talk about that, let's just talk about the simplicity of a full moon in the sign of Capricorn at 1 degrees and 7 minutes of Capricorn, the sign of the sea goat. And what's interesting to me is that the Sabian symbol in the book Sabian Symbols, A Screen of Prophecy by Diana E. Roche. Anyway, the Sabian symbol never changes, just her interpretation. One of 360-degree channeled symbols by Elsie Wheeler in the 1930s for each degree of the zodiac. So the symbol for Capricorn 2, you always round up 3 stained glass windows. 1, damaged by bombardment. Keyword commemoration. Well, given we've had a war recently that includes 2 wars in the world that include bombardment, one in, Ukraine, Russia, the other one in the Middle East, I would say that this may be something to do with that part of the story that's been ongoing. And so commemoration, bombardment, 3 windows are intact, 1 is damaged by bombardment. So she says things such as the stark accent is on reminders of painful periods of life that you have survived. Your greatest advantage lies in protecting what you value from attack or loss. Remember, the experience can never be destroyed. And she says the theme of this is also the word reverence. So she talks about the idea here of protecting our and safeguarding our monuments from careless destruction. And the 3 stained glass windows, 1 damaged by bombardment, is is one of the revered or negative symbols, and it alludes to strength and durability or survival. The emphasis is on indestructibility and the experience and spiritual reality of the indestructibility of experience and of spiritual reality. Okay. And keywords, or what she calls stepping stones, are assault on values, survival, endurance, indestructibility, memorial, historical record, chronicle, and testimony. So we may be seeing things happening in particular in the news cycle, even though, of course, Mercury is supposed to be mute or quite silent in a way in the sign of water signs, because the crab and the Scorpio energy and the fish are apparently, silent creatures without vocal cords, well, or at least you can't hear them underwater. So but I still think it's plain old Mercury here. And we could be looking at news stories about themes of destruction or a bombardment or damage, and the idea of, commemoration or maybe even discovery. Absolus was a centaur. Now, centaurs are, half horse, half men, and we all are quite well aware of the Chiron, the most famous of all the centaurs, because we all talk about him as the wounded healer. But Absolus, which is a celestial body number 8405, was a seer. So he could see the future, and he did foresee a wedding that led to a fight or a battle between the Lapis and the centaurs, two species. So sensing things that could go awry, or there may be serious issues that are being hidden. So accepting your vision may only be that and nothing more. Feelings of persecution for one's true beliefs, or perceiving conspiracies real or imagined. Now, who knows what that might look like this far in the future, because I'm recording already so far ahead. But keep those narratives in mind as you listen to this, hopefully closer to, of course, June the 21st. Betelgeuse is a star of warrior energy, but wealth and prosperity. It is sitting here in the sign of Cancer, which is the moon's temple, and the moon is reflecting the light of the cast of characters, Sun, Absolus, Venus, and Mercury in her temple. Indeed, all of these placements are in an aspectual opposition to the moon, which is full, and the moon is reflecting the light of the sun and the sun's companions into this Capricorn part of the sky. It is also a moon that is in a trine to Mars, the god of war. And just for the sake of it, I am going to make this extremely simplistic and take out the things that are not directly applying to the picture we're trying to see and make a story of. We know the North Node is in Aries. We know the South Node is here and there. We know where Saturn and Neptune are sitting in the watery places of Pisces. Let's just simplify. Okay, just like for the heck of it, Jupiter is in an aversion from the sign of Gemini, so he's not really participating. And it just makes it a nice, easy, tidy sky to witness together. And we really don't want Pluto because he's in what we call an aversion in the ancient world. That just happens to be Asteroid America. Sorry, it's just in there from another video. And, well, we don't really need Chiron either. Okay, so here we have it. This is the simple sky of this moon. This is what really matters. Now, because we have the moon flowing to Mars, the god of war, and opposite the sun, this forms what we call a wedge in the sky. And a wedge is a formation of the tension of opposites with a kinetic release point with Mars. Mars is the guy who releases the tension between Sun, Moon, Moon, Venus, Moon, Absolus, and Moon and Mercury. Indeed, the moon has a 13-degree orb. So this is really, this whole bundle of planets is participating. So just for an overview of some possibilities for the world about what this full moon will be revealing, I want to remind you, and you can do this for your own life, you must also go back to things that were happening in your life in the Capricorn part of your whole sign house sky that went back 6 months ago, and that includes the world. So let's go back and talk about what happened around the Capricorn new moon in the world, and you think back to your own life as well. So if you go back to January 11th, 2024, we had the new moon in the sign of Capricorn. Now, a lot of things happened in January. The big thing that happened regarding the war is in the Middle East is that it was in January that Israel had to appear, or the ICJ was having its trial on the plausibility that, or not, that there was a GEN, the word happening. And I think it was the South Africans who brought the case to the International Court of Justice. That was happening during the month of January after that moon. Also, Sweden decided to join and was approved to join NATO. What else was going on in January? I was just looking at it. There was a lot of press going on about pressure from the United States for Israel to end the war ASAP. Too much damage to civilians and hospitals. That was going through the news cycle in January. The most important thing in terms of the situation for the world, and Russia launched a bunch of drones at the Ukrainian land, etc. But when we're talking about what's going on today, it seems to me the most important thing that happened in January was the ICJ case, International Court of Justice, the ICJ. And that was Israel left with a mandate to supply humanitarian aid and not to commit any further plausible instances of what could be called a GEN, right? I can't say it here. I get flagged by the algorithm. You guys know what I'm talking about. So that story could come to fruition or fullness, because basically that was supposed to take years for it. That's different than the International Criminal Court. The ICJ is a whole different process. But the ICJ may be escalating its court case here. That's the only thing I can think that this might be about. So the whole ICJ thing could be coming back into the picture during the June timeframe into early July, and we may see that unfold as stage 2 of the ICJ court case that was considered preposterous by Netanyahu. Now, also, what about the energetic here and in your own life, what were you seeding in January that is coming to full light, full fruition in Capricorn? You put a seed here, now it grew into a tree, and now it's got some fruit-bearing elements to it. What is fruiting, what is blossoming, or what is full, and what is completing from things you planted here in January last year? We'll do that when we come to the all signs portion. We will cover your sign. Anything else I want to say? The trine to Mars in Taurus, which is Venus's house, and she's witnessing it from her perch with the sun. And she's still invisible under the beams of the sun and will not be visible until sometime in July. But nonetheless, we can say that Mars, even though he is debilitated in the sign of Taurus because it's not his happy kingdom, because he is in what we call exile from his kingdom of Scorpio, even though that's the case, he can witness the Lord of the house of Taurus, and he's in a sextile to Venus, and that's going to tighten and be even more juicy, which is a very beautiful synergistic energy. And so this moon is baking in that sextile between Venus and Mars, the cosmic lovers. And it can be a very auspicious signature as things unfold over the course of the months after this moon. The god of peace is talking to the god of war who's in her kingdom. That seems to me like it could go very, very well. In the nation of Israel, they are a rising sign, Libra, right here. May as well just make the chart look like, I'll move it to the Libra rising for simplicity, right? So that we can look at it through the lens of the Libra rising nation of Israel, where the South Node is transiting, where eclipses have been happening, where Mars was conjunct the North Node last October, and where we saw, of course, the beginning of the war. And that means that where we're seeing all of this 10th house activity and the 4th house activity with the moon is in these two houses, which are the governing bodies, the leadership. There's the sun, the leader of Israel. Israel has its Venus up here already, somewhere around 4 degrees, I believe, of Cancer. So it's almost, it's happening just before the nation of Israel's Venus return in the house of government, leaders, governing power, people in power, the leading party, the party in power. And also the sun, the leader, which in this case would be just at this time of my recording, still Netanyahu. So something is happening up here at the top of the sky for the leadership. It is reflected back here by the moon. The moon is in the homeland territory of the nation of Israel, but also it is the house of the opposing party, or the a party that would oppose the rulership or the leading party. So the coalition government that Netanyahu has, this is what could oppose that government, some other contenders for the power structures in the governance of the nation. Now, the flow to Mars in the 8th house for Israel, that's other people's money. Like, when the United States sends billions of dollars to Israel, it's other people's money that Israel can get its hands on. It's also just the house of death, but it is a flowing relationship here. So it feels to me like there could be abilities to secure other people's money, or with the asteroid America square Mars, conflicts getting support, whether it's military equipment or funding from America. That is a possibility, probably not a probability, but you never know. But there is some kind of flow around money, stocks, markets, maybe, etc. I want to say one thing. This is still, if you just take it seriously, the 8th house is a difficult house. It is a house of death. Mars is a god of kinetic devices, things that blow things up, things that cut, things that shoot, that kind of stuff. And when he's going through this part of the sky, he's no different than he always is. And he's going to collide here eventually in July with Uranus. And this is a lunation in the house of home and home property, the territory, Israel and Greater Israel, including the occupied territories, that is aligned with this Mars that will eventually in July connect with Uranus. And because it is a solstice moon on the 21st of June, it doesn't just take place over the course of a week or two around the moon. It really is a signature for the 6 months that follow. So there can be some destabilizing events to do with shocking and war and death, and people, and we the people, and land and territory. And of course, the moon is a temple lord of the 10th house, but the moon is in the sign of her exile, and she is not in her good shape here. But that's true for every Capricorn moon, so we can't always diss the Capricorn moons. She's stoic, stern, hard-ass kind of thing, not a lovey mother at all. So we shall see how that looks in the world, guys. The Ukraine war is probably going to be winding down by the end of the summer in my hopeful astrology eyeballs, and we'll see where that goes as well. In Vladimir Putin's chart, the moon is happening in the 3rd house, and it's also connected to the 9th house of foreign shores and foreign people and foreign governments and foreign entities. And so there can also be some positive things going on for that particular crisis in the world as well, especially with Mars opposite Putin's ascendant. That could give some kind of sense of wanting to deal with the open enemies, the adversaries, and tie some loose ends up there. But we'll see. Okay, we'll see. So let's go ahead and do all signs. We're going to start off with Aries. We always do. Then we're going to move in what we call a zodiacal order through the signs. Remember, this is also a solstice chart. I'll be doing a solstice reading for all signs because it bakes in a story of what happens until the spring, the fall equinox. So it gives you a little chunk of story that goes through to the fall equinox in September. Well, I can find the Aries sign coming through, sun, moon, and rising. So Aries, sun, moon, and rising, what we've got going on here is we have a full moon, and it's on the top of our sky. Did we plant some new career and reputation seeds? Because I have an Aries, sun, and moon. Did we plant some career and reputation seeds back in the day, back in January, that are coming to a blossoming or a completing of some sort? Now, I know I hired staff. I hired 2 people for social media, including some video editing guy, and maybe there's a change around that from what I was doing in January, but there's definitely a sense of coming to a fullness or a fulfillment of seeds or directional shifts that may have been started by you in January in the career space. The moon is reflecting the wealth star Betelgeuse on the sun down here. And I love that because Betelgeuse is, the light of Betelgeuse will be shining brightly at the top of the sky. This moon is not really here, by the way. For some reason, I'm a day early. The moon is closer to 1 degree. Okay. Can I go back a day and not lose the moon? No. So I got to go forward. So bottom line, full moon, 1 degree of Capricorn. If your Aries sun, moon, and rising is close to 1 degree, let's say between 0 and 5, you really feel this a lot of energy going there towards those placements in your chart. Now, you are angular to this. It can bring some changes in your career because a full moon is going to become less and less bright in the sky. So it ends it's a completing, a waning, a losing of the light. It's like reaching a pinnacle here and then beginning to come down the mountain on the other side of some ambitious directions that you might have been taking in the career. With the flow to Mars, though, even if Mars is debilitated, he's trying to honor Venus. Positive things are coming off this moon to do with your wallet, your earnings, your savings, some possessions you have. And with Mars flowing to Venus, and all of the stellium in the fourth house, the financial story is positive, and it actually plays out nicely for you in your fourth house. I don't mind the moon debilitated and Mars debilitated. I really don't, because there is a reception here. I forgot to say that in the beginning. Mars is in the sign that belongs to the exaltation of the moon, and the moon is in the sign that belongs to the exaltation of Mars. This gives it a bit of a positive spin. And so Mars is saying, your kind of full, complete, fruiting energies in your career and reputation space is allowing for some greater financial gain in the earnings possessions part of the sky. And certainly with Venus in the fourth house, this can look like buying a house, selling a house, getting some spending of some possessions you really want in the months that follow, the 6 months that follow for your home. But it does have a lot to say about positive financial developments in and from the home. I mean, there's a wealth star in the fourth house, guys. The sun does rule your house of money luck, so maybe you could win a lottery. And the moon is saying, well, we got the career thing going, and Mars says we got the money, financing, earnings, passion, focus, and decisions. Sometimes Mars is just a simple, you're making money and career decisions. Some of them are surprising or exciting and exhilarating, and it leads to this kind of bounteous energy, or it reminds you have this fulfillment of good wealth and stuff, and a bit of prescience, right? The seer Lapith is here, the Lapith seer is here. So maybe a bit of prescience about things as well. There's a lot of reception in this chart, by the way, because, you do have, the moon is, anytime we have a moon in Capricorn, everybody in the temple of the moon is being directed by the moon. So are you renovating? Are you decorating your home? Are you having more joy and fun in your home? Are you communicating, marketing, and selling in the home? And if so, it's all flourishing better and more beautifully at the top of your sky, in the part of your sky that is your career. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign, we have a big full moon in your ninth house, and it's taking cue from the constellation of planets in your third. So the light of the moon is reflecting the wealth of Betelgeuse in your ninth house, some wealth from a father figure, some wealth from academic settings, some wealth through foreign people and foreign shores, but also there's a fullness here. Did you plant wealth seeds up here, or did you plant something in that ninth house? Were you planning to travel, and now you can see the fulfillment of that? Were you hoping to complete school, and now you finish your education and higher education? Did you want to have some success in a legal matter, and you have it here as well? I would say the flow to Mars and that mutual reception of exaltation is allowing you to make commanding executive decisions and actions, because you have the Martian energy, you are on top of it, and you're making these decisions around those ninth house matters. That can include book publishing and broadcasting as well. And because all of this down here in your third house is so busy, your daily life, your everyday life, your local neighbors and neighborhood, your siblings, and your short and long distance travel stories are quite robust over the course of the 2 weeks and 6 months that follow this full moon. Mars is an adventurer, and he does like to do such things as travel, and he has a natural affinity for travel. So we could see an extension of travel, and if possibly you have an IC floating in the third house, a change of home. That only depends if you have your IC in the third house, more likely. Also, a change of home as it involves rental property. Venus rules your house of rentals. That can look like a very strong indication. Don't forget, anytime you see something happening with this kind of Mars energy, he likes to move things around like a bulldozer, right? Does he want to move you around in terms of your neighborhood, your home? or move you into travel opportunities. Very possible for you guys over the 6 months that follow this full moon in Capricorn on June the 21st, already at 1 degree of Capricorn. Now I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to cut this off and come back and record the rest. I have a client now. I'll see you for the other sign shortly. Like, subscribe, please, and hit my notification bell. Okay, let's keep on going. We're into the sign of Gemini. Let's add you guys into the mix, and we'll start off with you to finish up the all signs delineation of our Capricorn full moon on June the 21st on the solstice. And here we have a full moon in Capricorn for you, and it is trining Mars in a mutual reception around the mutual exaltation, the moon exalted in the sign of Taurus, and vice versa, the Mars exalted in the sign of Capricorn. The flow here allows for as well a connection to the sun sitting here in the sign of Cancer. And here's the bottom line, guys. What seeds did you plant January of 2024 that are coming to a full light in the chunky money house? And now this is tax money. This is inheritance money. This is your accounting. This is your investments. This is unearned shared resources, other people's money. Now, if you planted seeds here, for example, I started looking for an accountant and I started to look at incorporating in January. I have a progressed sun in Gemini. I will see some new fruition or some new fruit being born from the direction that I took then. On the other hand, this is also sometimes about completions and endings regarding situations involving money from your seventh house. Where have you been getting money from seventh house places? These are significant others in your life, especially marriage type partners. And where could that line of resources come to a fullness, but also an end in the next 6 months? Now, also it can be spousal support, alimony, spousal support. We call it divestiture of mutual shared assets at the end of a relationship. That could be a completion energy going on for some Geminis as well. So you expect some fulfillment of some chunky money narratives in the next 6 months, but also some support from Lord Mercury in the 12th. This could mean something like money from foreign places and foreign lands and foreign shores, chunks of money, and new directions regarding those shared resources when it applies to matters to do with foreigners, and marketing and commerce in and from foreign places. Mars here can also be backroom deals and negotiations that positively influence your chunky money situation in surprising and unexpected ways. The sun is in the earnings house, possessions, your wallet, your savings, your resources, the having house. What do I have? And so there's a lot about the money access 2 and 8 that is really drawing your attention. The key point is really the Mars bit. Mars is making decisions and changes of direction, taking action in the 12th house. Looks like a lot of your money is pivoting around matters to do in the next few months with secret deals, backroom deals, negotiations, hidden variables, but also things to do with foreign countries, foreign people, foreign businesses, and foreign entities. With this energy here, the moon wants you to do well financially in the second house, is reflecting the light of the sun on the wealth star Betelgeuse. It's quite possible, therefore, that you're going to reflect the wealth Betelgeuse from your possessions house into the chunky money house. Where could the chunky money come from? How would it arrive? Where would this unearned shared resources, other people's money benefit you? That's a really good question. And the only planet that really seems to be seriously engaging the narrative is Mars. So we're looking at, it could be somebody in a hospital gives you money, somebody in a prison gives you money, or somebody from a far off land is involved in better money source or revenue generated from borderless income, digital nomad style, etc. But you could just end up in some kind of new business arrangement, business partnership with somebody from another country, and it could be that simple. And that's going to blow your chunky money up. Look for seeds planted here maybe in January. Hey, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. Well, the full moon is reflecting the light of wealth star Betelgeuse in the house of your significant other, marriage partner, long-term business partnerships, sometimes an important client, or just in general, the audience marketplace clients for your 10th house of career, because it is 10 houses from the 10th. The energy of the seventh house, though, is somebody else is reflecting a wealth light, but you are the one with the wealth star and the sun in the house of you. Therefore, you might be experiencing mutual wealth with a significant business or love partner over the course of the next 6 months from this full moon on June the 21st. No, I just see if I could keep it back there, but I can't. Second of all, Mars is participating from the 11th house of good spirit. This is positive energy coming from Mars towards this full moon and towards the sun, creating a wedge. It looks like you might have a really beautiful opportunity from an elder sibling, one above you, ideally, a friend, a benefactor, or an ally around wealth increase, partnerships, agreements, legal agreements, etc. The moon here can also shed a light on your marriage or significant relationship. And it also has support in that reception of exaltation by Mars for whatever this light is shining in the relationship. It could help you refine and change your longer dreams, goals, and plans for your life by light of what you are connecting with in this relationship part of your life, this marriage part sector of your life. You know, it is a 6-month story, and Pluto will come back to your marriage house in the fall, September, October, November. And that's deeply transformative, but it is also a wealth planet in the marriage house. Betelgeuse is the wealth planet, and it is about that financial or resourceful money stuff. So there's a lot going on here in this part of the sky for you. A full moon could also be a completion in a major business or love relationship, but it also has a strong connection to stories to do with wealth, siblings, especially older, friends, benefactors, and allies. Finally, you get the gains for your career in the 11th, new directions, new momentum, new decisions in the next 6 months. Those gains are flowing to the house of your client's audience and others, or the client's audience and others is flowing to the house of your gains. And so you could be really picking up a lot of new financial goodness from the marketplace for your work. Leo, sun, moon, and rising. We have a Capricorn full moon in the 6th house of health matters, work and work-related job, employer-employee situations, things to do with pets and tenancy rental agreements. So sometimes also debts. Something is full, something is completing, culminating, or coming into a new light. This is a place where you experienced a new moon in January. There may be a connection to something you started then becoming more complete or full at this time. This is also the house that has to do with debts owed to you and debts you owe to others, karmic and literal. And there's a fullness here as well, maybe shedding light on what is owed to you or what you owe to another. With Mars flowing to this lunation from the 10th house, there is a lot to say about your work and your career successes coming off of this moon and the 6 months that follow. It looks like a lovely Artha flow between here and here that says you're picking up some new directions, passion, momentum, decisions, and action in your career that's sudden, maybe surprising and exciting, that allows for fulfillment of some of your career objectives and workspace objectives in a powerful way. Mars is in the house of his joy when he is sitting in the 6th house. I mean, normally, and he's in that mutual reception to the moon in the place where Mars has his joy. So Mars is very invested in helping the exaltation zone of Capricorn, where the moon is sitting in the place where he normally has his joy. So joyful, new, exciting, proactive career and reputation experiences. And with the wealth star, Betelgeuse reflected from the sun, some of that business story can come from digital revenue or foreign land, foreign shore monies, etc. If you need to cut away from or end or a job that you don't like or a career path, Mars is giving you the courage and stamina and bulldozer effect to get the heck out of there. And it's okay to end or complete something as well. It might be at its shelf life in a certain career path, job, or direction that you've been taking in your career. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is a full Capricorn moon in your fifth house of children. And it is literally taking cue from a January new moon. You may be looking at the idea of fertility and pregnancy with a full moon here. You may also be looking at the idea of a fullness in the house of romance. Did you start a new romantic relationship, or January, did you make some changes to one? And this is the completion of that cycle of change. With the moon here, if you at all are an entrepreneur or an artist or creative, this part of your life also picks up, but it is, of course, functionally just the children you already have. With the flow to Mars in the ninth house of grandchildren, this is not my most classic, you're going to have a grandchild, but given that there's a mutual reception between Mars and Uranus means shocking and unexpected, you may indeed be looking at the potential to discover you are going to be a grandparent. In the 6 months that follow this moon, the moon is reflecting the light of Betelgeuse, a wealth star, in the house of money luck, and that includes lottery wins. So you also can benefit financially from a friend, an ally, or an elder sibling. This full moon here could definitely be reflecting some kind of luscious financial luck and fortune. And with Mars in the ninth house, that could be from government institutions and bodies, including lotteries. With Mars at the top of the sky, this is also about higher education. This is about foreign travel. This is about visas and legal matters, including courts. So perhaps some of you are going to engage in some fortunate, positive financial developments regarding educational settings involving matters to do with travel. You can do leisure travel in the fifth house, and Mars is in the house of foreign places. So enjoyable travel can be very much a part, unexpected, enjoyable long distance travel to far off places, especially given Mars also rules your short distance travel house. So you may be traveling a bit in the next 6 months to far off foreign shores, you know? One of your children could be coming to a completion or an ending in something going on in their life. And with that trine to Mars, they're going off to university or college, and they may be denesting for you. Expect some really good things coming through the wealth of your friends and your elder sibling as well, given this placement may open doors of opportunity for you in that regard. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. We have a full moon in the fourth house of home. This is the seeds that you planted in January coming to fruition. What is going on in and from the home that is now coming to a completion, ending, or fulfillment of some sort. Now, it does involve money from other people that are unearned income for you, like chunky money, right? Now, we had Jupiter and Uranus connecting here back in April on the 21st. So you may have some unexpected chunky money bounty coming from the legacy wealth of your family of origin, from mom or dad. Mom in the house of the mother, dad in the house of the father. And they're in a wedge to some unexpected, surprising momentum decisions and actions regarding money from the parents or inheritances in the family system. The moon is in the sign of Saturn's rulership, and Saturn rules the elder. Saturn is in the house of debt elimination, and that's positive. And some of you may also, with Saturn in the sixth house, be looking at new rental opportunities in the 6 months that follow regarding financial opportunity connected to new homes and rental opportunities as well. With the sun in the career house where it's very happy, you may be looking at career opportunities that involve a sign-on bonus, severance package, performance review goodies as well. And a lot of that feels surprising and a little bit exhilarating because we do see Uranus is up here. So you may not have been expecting the developments here in the career and money stories. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. We have a full moon in Capricorn on the 22nd, 22nd of June. It is shining brightly in the house of siblings and aunts, uncles, cousins, things to do with your neighbors and neighborhood. Everyday life, you know, what do? Go here, go there, get in the car, drive to the store, you know, just the everyday fishbowl in which to swim. But it's also a house of online world, communication, writing, websites, social media, texting, emails, and it's coming to a full light here. But it's reflecting a wealth star Betelgeuse across the way because the light of the sun and Betelgeuse are reflected by the full moon. And so where is this wealth coming from? It's a house of father figures in India. It's a house of Lakshmi and some luck and prosperity. It's a house of academics, court and legal matters. It's a house of far off foreign lands. It's bringing a light over here into your more local environment to do with prosperity. Mars suggests there's an involvement by a significant business or love partner or client audience type situation that allows for some changes in your relationship. But maybe for some of you, maybe not always, some disagreements or severing, but this all flows so beautifully, Scorpio, that I'd say there's a change of direction, some new decisions you and your partner is making, and it's going to be a little unexpected and sudden. The moon can represent the home at the bottom of the chart, an unexpected new direction in home, but with the third house, it's also a new neighborhood. And it may be domestically relocating yourself to another home when in the 6 months that follows this particular full moon. And maybe you get some financial assist from some father figure or legal or court matter. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. Full moon is shining brightly here in the sky in your house of earnings, possessions, wallet, having, savings. I have a car, a home. I have money in the bank. I've saved my earnings in here they are. So that kind of money has got big light here, big energy, but it's coming off a new moon that happened back in January. So where have you been tinkering with those kind of I have storylines in your life, especially around financial resourcefulness? With Saturn now piloting its way through your fourth house, some of you may have some opportunities for a full moon, a full beginning, a full completion regarding assets, including home. With the sun in the house of mortgages, you may be selling or divesting of real estate in the next 6 months, if that's something you can do. Mars is in the house of rentals. And so there again, money, rentals, Saturn in the house of homes. It's just not drawn in there. So opportunities to create income from a rental property or to be renting a property yourself, being a tenant. The sun is in the house of chunky money from inheritances, reflecting a light of fullness in your I-havingness house. Some of you may have a Betelgeuse wealth inheritance coming to you as a Sagittarius, sun, moon, or rising, and it will help you eliminate your debt, Mars in the 6th house. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. We have a full moon in your 1st house. You are full. You are larger than life. You are big, but you're also, you're the one that's coming to some sort of fulfillment or completion of something you were planting in your own sense of identity last January 11th. What identity seeds were you planting? And it connects to the idea of your marriage house where the sun is and the wealth star Betelgeuse. So how is a wealthy business or love partner reflecting back some fulfillment or wholeness of identity to you from seeds you were tending or planting as new beginnings back in January? Because Mars is in the house of good fortune, where we win lotteries, because it's gaming, gambling, and casinos and all of that. And he's in a mutual reception to the full moon in the house of you by exaltation. There can be an indication, therefore, that there is some kind of financial win, but the light is reflected from the house of partnership. So your business or love partner and money luck stories are being reflected back to you as a fulfillment of some promise. So I'd say more likely your partner could be more wealthy and you're benefiting from their wealth luck, but who knows? This looks like some wealth luck coming in. Your children as well with unexpected developments are here, and unexpected things happen with your children that flow to you in a positive way over the course of the next 6 months from this moon. And this can be, moon represents parenting and mothering and stuff. And so maybe you're going to experience some connection to becoming a grandparent, maybe just because Saturn is here as well, creating a little bit of a mini trine between these placements. Entrepreneurial projects, consulting projects, self-run businesses, and creative projects are getting a boost in the 6 months that follow in unexpected and surprising ways. Mars does rule the house of allies as benefactors, who could also support some entrepreneurial and creative chutzpah or forward movement in the next 6 months. Capricorn, Aquarius, sun, moon, rising. I have a similar placement. I'm in a rising sign. So what happens is there's a big full moon in our 12th house of addiction, self-undoing, and sabotage, how we fall away from ourselves. So we can complete something, fulfill something we started in January around overcoming those obstacles, especially with this sun in the house of health challenges. It looks like a lot of us can undo difficulties to our health or to complete or end structures and ways of being that are not good for our health based on addictive substances, abuse patterns and habits, changes in the home, and maybe even rental opportunities that are sudden and unexpected in the 6 months that follow. And with the light of Betelgeuse, a beautiful wealth star reflected in the 12th house, a great amount of wealth can come through the work environment for you, the career environment, and work and career environment, especially if you make revenue from foreign entities, foreign people, foreign shores, or while you are in another country than your place of birth. Sudden changes in the home are possible, and they may be connected to foreign shores and foreign countries from the place of birth. Also, a lot of bounty and prosperity can happen here that allows you to move into a place where you are no longer carrying debt as a possibility, with the house of debt having the Betelgeuse star on the sun reflected by the moon. In a way, we would call this a very karmic axis, so a karmic debt repayment or a financial debt eliminated in a way that's like destined or karmic could be a way to parse this story. But I'd say shocking or surprising changes of home, but they're highly beneficial. And I do think that the 12th house cannot be discounted as a far offshore house. But I mean, I'd say to a continental United States dweller that maybe Alaska or Puerto Rico or even Hawaii could be called a far offshore, right? Then we have Pisces. Now, Pisces, there's a full moon in Capricorn around the 21st, 22nd of June, and it's shining brightly in your 11th house of good spirit. Now, that's an elder sibling. That's a house of a benefactor, an ally, or just simply the gains you receive from your career path. This full moon is taking cue from January when you seeded something new in this part of your sky. This is an energy that allows for some fulfillment and fruition and fruit to bear in your finances as it applies to elements of your career path. Because there is a wealth star in the 5th house of good fortune shining here and being reflected by the moon, financial fortunes through allies, benefactors, friends, elder sibling, or the work endeavors and your career path are on the mend and uprise in the 6 months that follow the full moon. And we also note that Mars is in a beautiful relationship, trining the moon and sextiling the sun. So again, we have another sibling house involved, the younger siblings here, the older siblings. Siblings are benefiting you greatly in the 6 months that follow, younger and older. Change of neighborhood, change of daily environment looks like it's happening for many of you Pisces. There could be a move to a new neighborhood, a little surprising, shocking, or exciting at that, but it allows for greater fulfillment of some kind of financial wellness in your life. Also, new groups of belonging and friendship circles that feel like you're at home. You might meet people in the new neighborhood, in the local shops and restaurants nearby that you're like, wow, this is my people. I'm enjoying this. I'm having fun. I'm active. I'm making myself known. I'm busy, active decisions, choices around neighbors and larger groups of belonging, like joining a club maybe. Websites, social media environment, online world, that's where Mars is. You're passionately dedicating 6 months ahead to a lot of focus on that, but it is bringing good fortune to you here, no doubt about it. And Betelgeuse wealth, the more entrepreneurial you are, the better it is, but it also invites your creative energies into the forefront. Writing projects, creative writing projects and artistic endeavors are favored in the next 6 months, and they bring some fruitful financial wellness to your 10th, 11th house of gains from one's career path. And even book publishing could come in for some of you in the 6 months that follow, given that Mars rules the 9th house of publications. Thank you and broadcasting, podcasts and stuff like that. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys have a wonderful Capricorn moon. I will be maybe doing an update video on this because, of course, May 18th is way ahead of what's going on in the real world. But at least I have this one ready for you so that while I'm on the El Camino and then visiting people I know in Portugal, at least you are able to get this video as a first wave of information. Have a wonderful full moon in Capricorn, just off the solstice, and let me know what happens in the comments. I do read almost all of my comments, which is crazy. I can't reply to all of them, but I try to like and heart when I'm really grabbed by somebody's comment. Thanks a lot, guys. I would love to hear from you too. So how is it going? Tell me what's happening. Ciao, ciao.